Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Garry Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest articles, have a chat with a brilliant author right here beside me, who's behind the article, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you get a chance, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives. This is your go-to resource for all things coaching. But for now, let's dive into the podcast. In today's episode, I'm speaking with Master Certified Coach Subash, who is the author of an article in our latest issue, The Power of Choice. Yes, finally. The article is entitled From Conditioning to Conscious Choice: How Indic Wisdom Elevates Empowering Coaching Conversations. A little bit about Subash. As I said, he's an ICF Master Certified Coach. He also holds an MBA, and he's the co-founder of Regal Unlimited. A former corporate leader turned CXO coach and coach educator, he brings a distinctive blend of evidence-based coaching, presence work, and Indic wisdom to empower conscious choice and transformation. He has mentored more than 600 coaches worldwide. That's a lot. Thank you for your contribution. And supports leaders in navigating complexity with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Thank you for joining us for the podcast, Subash.
Thank you very much, Gary. And thanks to you and team. You're doing a great job with Choice Magazine. I love what you do there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to ask, what's Regal Unlimited? Is that your coaching? Is that leadership? What's that for?
So Regal Unlimited is into leadership development
Uh-huh.
through coaching, mentoring coaches, and bit of healing. Yeah, my wife, who is the partner, legal partner, she is also a certified healer. So we do a bit of healing. So yeah, that's what
Wow.
Regal Unlimited is. And now where Regal comes from, we all are naturally regal. It's like, sugar has a natural taste of sweet. Similarly, we at a core, we are regal
Wow.
with
That's
unlimited
great.
potential. That's what we are trying
Awesome.
to tap into.
Very well said and very true. Thank you for that reminder too. And for our listeners and viewers, Sebastian is reaching us today from India, from his residence. Um, so what inspired you to write for us at this time?
Anything I get to reflect on Indic wisdom is a topic I jump in. So, there's since I subscribe to a magazine, there's an offer to write. So I reached out saying that I can write something on Indic wisdom, and your team picked it up, gave me this opportunity, and thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. So you're going to have to explain to me and our audience, how would you define Indic wisdom?
Great question. So, India is blessed with what 5 to 10,000 years of history, right? And beyond that, it is mythology. So there's a lot of wisdom that comes from our sages and saints. I know people identify this with, say, Hinduism as a religion. No, it is much deeper. It's a school of thought that we identify in Sanskrit, which used to be our original language, as Sanatan Dharma. Dharma is righteousness. Sanatan is universal. So, it's something that has evolved over centuries
Yeah.
as a thought process. Right? Very, very difficult to answer that question.
Right? When
Yeah.
you're trying to put together thousands of years of history and
Wisdom, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, you say it very well in the article and you apply it very well. For example, and I'm going to quote something. I was rereading it, of course, this morning. And uh, Indic wisdom goes a step deeper. Choice is not an action. Choice is a state of awareness. When awareness expands, choice emerges naturally. So that begs the question, how can coaches develop awareness?
Yeah, great question. I follow a model called a golden triangle which consists of the three angles, equilateral angle. By the way, triangle is considered to be the perfect structure.
Right.
The base is coaching skills. So what I develop as a coaching skill with my training, mentoring, reflection, practice, and for me, it was a lot of hard work after 2 decades in the corporate to transition from a marketing business P&L role to something like coaching. So, it's just about sharpening that coaching skill along the way. The other base triangle is the business side of coaching. See, I earn my bread and butter from coaching. I have a team to manage. I have bills to pay. I have a family to run. So the
Mm.
business of coaching is integral to the coaching skills. These are like two sides of a coin.
Right.
But what is on top is of great interest. Everyone knows about these two sides, right? Business and coaching skills. For me, that is about that deep work or the self work that I need to do, because coaching skills can only get me to a certain stage.
Yeah.
Business side, the whole marketing can only get me to a certain stage. But what opens up unlimited potential and opportunities, the work that I do on myself. So one of my mentee coaches, who was actually a practicing monk, he said, the client pays us for coaching, for the work that we do on ourselves. So coaching was
Yeah.
always self work, right? So and the outcome of that is awareness. Yeah, I'm just leading you to the triangle to awareness. Now, to answer a question, it's what are those 1, 2, 3 things that I need to do so that I can develop my awareness, which would be very different from what you would like to do. Because we are wired differently. We come from different cultural background. Come from different cultural experiences, right? So to that extent, what I do, what are the 1, 2, 3 things? And if I can take the liberty of saying, it's just not from this birth, if you believe in that, if you believe in
Right.
the concept of rebirth, it's something that we have evolved at a soul stage. So for me, couple of things that resonate for me deeply. Number one is what I do at a physical level, the fitness orientation that I bring in. Because unless at a body level not fit, I can't radiate that energy.
Mm.
So for me, it is walking, bit of games, and yoga. I'm not growing younger, so for me now it's more of
None of
walking
us
and
are,
yoga.
Subash. None of us are.
Yeah, as a youngster, I was very fond of sports and games. The second one is anything that is meditative, whatever practice that resonates for you, right? And but I feel it's absolutely a no-brainer that meditative practices makes us more meditative. Being meditative is self-awareness. It's not meditating, it's not an action, it's
Mhm.
being meditative. So for me, second is any meditative practice, and I do, I do some amount of meditation and other practices. Number three, what has helped me immensely is, you spoke about mentoring 600 plus coaches. It's been a fascinating journey mentoring coaches because they ask you the kind of questions that make you reflect. I'm forced to reflect, right? There is no escape and come back and build that muscle. So I think Mark Twain said, "You learn, practice, and teach. You get good at it." Right. So a
Mm.
lot of mentoring has also helped me. Finally, again, this is something very personal. I'm a very bad singer, Gary. There is no, there is no singer in me.
Welcome to the club, Subash. So am I.
Yeah, but I learned music. I learned vocal music, which is an Indian form of classical music, because the music is about maths, the process and the science, and also an art for sure. So this
Mm.
is some of the practices that makes me connect within myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course, last but not the least, I'm famous or infamous for promoting this in a community, that is reflective journaling, something that I discovered on this path. Just reflective journaling makes us so very reflective and deeply self-aware.
Mm.
So this is some of the practices I resonate a lot, and I've recommended a lot of my friends and clients and mentees, coaches. They have found it valuable. But we still have to find out what works for you, what works for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we are unique. Yeah.
Well, you remind me of the part of your article for those that haven't read it yet. And I quote, a coach's presence becomes a catalyst. When the coach is grounded, non-judgmental, and spacious, the client naturally accesses their own centered state and obviously increases awareness. But who you are is what you bring, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, yeah, thank you. So, for our coach listeners is to remember to do your work because it's important for our
Yes.
clients. And I think a lot of us know that, but this is a great reminder. Yeah, thank you for that. Um, this is a favorite topic of a lot of people, but it's usually in joking format. But karma, it's integral to Indic wisdom. How would you describe it being connected to coaching?
I can spend next 1 hour just talking about this. This is something that resonates a lot. I've kind of tried to understand deeply. The first part of karma, it's not, I believe this, okay? And this is not superstition. This comes from my understanding of the concept. It's
Right.
not, it's not by chance that we are meeting and having this conversation. There is some connection that brings us together. That is karma for me, right?
Mm,
Every client that comes to me, there is some connection. It's not accidental. I always say nothing is by chance, right? Everything is by choice. And I am so glad that you call your magazine choice, right? We all are choices that we're making.
yeah.
Uh, what emerges out of an engagement is also partly client's karma, not just my karma. It's just not my effort. So if an engagement goes well, I'm grateful that in spite of me, the engagement has gone well. Yeah. So
Mm,
sometimes, despite my best effort, despite making everything that I can, the engagement or a conversation may not go to my satisfaction or to the client's satisfaction. For me, that also is client karma. Now,
mm.
this is not coming from a space of, total detachment. Now, I use the phrase detached attachment. I'm attached to the process, I'm attached to the client, but I'm not obsessed with the client. I'm not obsessed with the outcome.
Mm,
If you have heard of our holy book Bhagavad Gita, Gita talks about you have only responsibility for the action. You have no responsibility for the outcome.
mm,
And I know that's something that I constantly remind myself. And because that is collective karma, what emerges out of a conversation or an engagement depends on what the client brings to the table, what I bring to the table, and what the organization, the stakeholder brings to the table. And it is so liberating. It's so liberating that that karmic angle gives me so much of liberation that I'm able to be fully present.
mm.
And what then I'm curious what emerges in the conversation, right? At the same time, I'm not saying that I always tell my clients I come from a sales background, business P&L background. I'm very particular about the actions that you take between the sessions. But still, if I'm reminding myself that I'm not attached to the outcome of the client, that is the client's choice.
Yeah.
For me, client's choice is client's karma too. Does it make sense? Does it resonate?
Very much, very much. When one of the things that really resonated with me was the beginning of this part of the conversation when you said being reflective of the karma, and right away I could see myself writing, why am I connected to this client? Why am I connected to whatever, right? Like a big
Yes.
why of sorts to
Yes.
just to leave an opening for what's possible, as opposed to like question. It's not a question for the sake of questioning, but a question for the sake of seeking an opening, right?
Yes. Beautifully said.
Yeah,
I speak of we're not listening to understand, to listening to reflect. We are listening to potential. At least that is effort.
yes.
Am I always listening to potential? No. I am still work in progress. And I'm very happy with that journey myself. Yes.
Well, yeah, we're always on the journey. That's one of the reasons I do this is to keep learning and growing and If you want to apply karma, I'm still here. There's a reason, right? 24 years later,
Right.
I'm still publishing Choice.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's great. So let's go back and introduce a little bit of Indic wisdom and application. So, what are the core elements of Indic wisdom that resonates for you as a CXO coach and also as a mentor coach?
Yeah, thanks for that question. One, as I said earlier, my job ends with selfless action, right? It's just not action. We call it karma or karam yoga. That is the yoga of action. So I
Mm,
have a responsibility to take action, right? And that action should be based on dharma. Dharma, also very popular, is righteousness. So if my action is backed by dharma to the extent possible, right? I resonate a lot with John Whitmore, Sir John Whitmore's acronyms of smart, pure, and clear goal, right? So
mm,
goal setting, as long as the goal is backed by righteousness or dharma, for me, something will resonate for the client, and the
right.
client will move towards the action. The other thing that resonate a lot for me is, there's a Sanskrit phrase that says, uh, we are born to serve. It's a Sanskrit phrase which says we are born to serve. The body, the body is given to us to serve. Now,
Mm,
that is what servant leadership is, the way we understand. So, all leadership was always about servant leadership. So, that is another thing that resonates deeply with me from an Indic wisdom. So there are, karma we already discussed. Then about the mantra, right? Now, again, the word mantra is used very, very shallowly in a day to day. Mantra resonates a lot of energy. The sound carries a lot of effect and energy. So, if you are focusing on the right sound and the effect, which translate into a coaching conversation, the
right.
pause that I give, the resonance that I bring into the conversation deeply helps the client to reflect and move into action and awareness. So these are some of the core terms that I bring into my work. The last one is, you know, I always encourage my clients and my coaches whom I mentor to move from an IQ to EQ to SQ. We all know about IQ thanks to the work of Daniel Goldman and others. We all are very familiar with EQ, whether it is in coaching or in leadership. But that is not the end of it. We have to necessarily move to spiritual quotient, not social quotient. Spiritual quotient, which includes social quotient, so that we serve the larger community.
Oh, okay.
Right? And the chaos that we are in now, geopolitics or otherwise, I think it is more relevant today. So it's about moving from an IQ to EQ to SQ. That is another expression that I use, you know, very
Yeah.
regularly in all our
Okay.
workshops and programs. Yes.
Wow. So that begs the question, is is it a challenge to coach Western CXOs versus Eastern with Indic wisdom, or do they get it faster?
Ah,
Is there a
great
difference?
question. Yeah, there is no difference, frankly. Why? Because the cultural nuances, the upbringing, the early stage experiences do matter, because ultimately, this there is this ICF competency 7.1, which speaks about beliefs, biases, values, needs. All these words are mentioned that competency in the marker. So these do define who we are as a person, right? So there is a difference in the way we deal with a client in the West or East. But I also come across clients or mentee coaches who say, I'm not spiritual, I'm not religious. So there are people here also who are not religious and who are not resonate.
Mm,
But for me, my assumption comes from one of the things that I've learned from Indic wisdom, that we all are spiritual beings on a human journey.
right.
We are not human beings on a spiritual journey. We are spiritual beings on a human journey. That
Mm.
resonates deeply with me on the coaching concept of the potential, maximizing potential that ICF defines. So there is no difference. There is no difference between East and West. And some people, including a couple of my friends who say that I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual, I find them more spiritual than people who don't go to a temple or a church, right? So
Yeah,
it's just a label, yeah.
yeah,
So there is
yeah.
no difference. Yes.
That would describe me too. I'm in that group. Uh, very cool. I want to remind our listeners of a brilliant quote at the end of the article. In a world overflowing with complexity, noise, and pressure, this is a profound gift, the gift of conscious choice. When clients reclaim conscious choice, they don't just make better decisions, they reclaim authorship of their lives.
Yes.
Ah, wow, that's powerful. Thank you.
And
Um,
it's all matter of choices, right?
yeah,
Every moment we are making choices, consciously or unconsciously. The more we are bringing that into conscious choice, conscious decisions, it just becomes blissful. Absolutely.
yeah, totally. Thank you. Subash, what would you like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation?
My invitation is, uh, try to look at this deeply, and it's not just looking at India, Asia, or any other geography, because at the core, all roads leads to one destination.
Mm,
This comes from centuries of wisdom. It's a fascinating school of thought worth exploring. And every master who has walked, I mean, if you look at it, that across geographies and religion and faith, all of them were great coaches. All of them are great coaches. Whether you look at Prophet, Jesus, Krishna, or Zoroaster, or Buddha, every religion, right? So there are more commonalities between these school of thoughts than diversity. Let
mm.
us discover that. That is my message. Let us explore that.
Thank you. Well, and thank you for writing for Choice and for joining us for this podcast. Appreciate your wisdom on Indic wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Once again, kudos to your team for such a wonderful work of managing this magazine. Thank
Well,
you.
and I hope you write for us again on another topic. Subash,
Absolutely.
what's the best way to reach you?
I'm more active on LinkedIn, so it's very easy to find me. Just Subash CV.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Otherwise, just drop me a mail, Subash at Regal Unlimited, the firm's name.
there we
I'm
go.
reasonably active there too. I'm quite prompt in responding.
Okay. Yeah, and you're ahead of us on the time zone challenge too. So what we send today, you'll answer before we wake up.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
Yeah.
again for joining us for this Beyond the Page episode.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Take
That's
care.
it for this Beyond episode of Beyond the Page. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, most likely the one that got you here. If you're not a subscriber to Choice and you're watching this video, you can sign up for your free digital issue by scanning the QR code in the top right-hand corner of our screen. If you are in listen only mode and you're no longer driving or you've stopped the treadmill, go to choice-online.com and click the sign up now button. I'm Garry Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery.